Second part of this test, I'll start with the Saunders Waterford cold press. You'll notice if you watched the earlier part of the test that the paint went on very dense. It does fade quite a bit on this stock. The sea salt patterns took extremely well though, and the blooms seem to be working as well. I'm just adding in some alizarin crimson and Prussian blue, add a bit of depth, filling in the eye. I tend to analyze a little bit to a formula rather than using photographic reference. I find if I darken the upper section, create a sheen that's not quite white, and simulate a horizon line maybe with some trees, and lighten the bottom left part of the orb, I can get a sort of translucent effect. I'm noticing that on glazing, if this paper is not bone dry, the glazing does bleed a little bit, but it adds a slightly photographic quality to the pupil, so I don't mind it. And there's my finished result for the Saunders Waterford. The next paper I'll be testing is one of my favourites, the Lanaquarelle Rough 300 pound. The sea salt is taken exquisitely on this. I apologise for the tilting camera, it was not a very stable frame. I'm just dragging some fine line wrinkle definitions with alizarin crimson. For a rough paper, it takes fine line details quite well. It does tend to pill a little bit if you're doing a lot of layers of glazing. I'm going to wait and try out the cold press version of this paper as soon as I can get a sample, but it lifts extremely beautifully, blooms and takes sea salt exquisitely, so I'm still liking this stock. The next sample is going to be the hot press version from Lanaquarelle, another 300 pound paper. This took the sea salt textures a little bit better than the other hot press stocks, but I think that may be a function of how wet the paint was when I put the sea salt on, not any natural characteristic of the paper itself. It's taking this Prussian blue and alizarin glaze quite beautifully, some natural backlifting cauliflower backwash. Again, I'm using the sea salt defined areas to make the path for most of the little fine wrinkles I'm putting in. Much like the Stonehenge Aqua, this is a very silky hot press to work on. Takes fine lines beautifully and glazes, I think, possibly even better than the Aqua. There's a greasy thumbprint I put in the middle of this paper, right over the eyeball. You can see those diagonal lines. They're really messing with this finished work. I'm getting a little bit fussy with the eye, but this paper is lifting quite well, so I'm able to get the effect that I want. Drop in some more alizarin crimson. Again, very soft glazes are taking very, very well. Trying to lift a bit of paint off this eye. That thumbprint really is damaging the surface that I want to work on. It's taken a lot of fussy work to try and get around it, and that pattern just won't go away. I don't know if it's a thumbprint or a palm print. Either way, it's very annoying. Just adding a bit of depth to these wrinkles, shading these fold areas a bit more, adding a bit of panes and alizarin, dropping in some more sea salt to see with a little bit of Prussian blue what extra texture I can get, and applying some more shading, dropping in some burnt umber wild, over the top of the salt, to let it seep underneath. We'll see how that turns out when the salt is removed. This eye was only ever going to be so good because this greasy thumb or palm print has pretty much ruined the paper surface, but it lifted incredibly well, so that's showing some versatility. And there we have the finished Lanaquarelle Hot Press sea salt experiment. A pretty exceptional stock, I think. And here we have the 3 pieces side by side, and I'm quite impressed with all of these stocks. And here's all 6 of the samples. Not a bad result.